position on bike number 6, got a good start, but it was Danny Sayers siding through from the second row of the grid on that black and yellow bike that was the first man to launch into the complex. So the Spaniard led it, the Englishman in second, the Dutchman in third place, and Spud Nesbitt in fourth. The front 6 broke away, and then it was chop and change all the way through. Some wild outbreaking manoeuvres. The 5 runners at the front, any one of them could have won this, with Jake Archer gallantly hanging on to them just behind there. And Taz Taylor, Scott Durrell, they weren't the only guys involved in this, because Sayers, Ed Rendell and number 86 Spud Nesbitt were very much up there, and any one of them could have been the winner. The lead changed, well, pretty much every lap with moves like this. Well, Taz Taylor fairly consistently was able to run at the front on the Ryan Saxelby bike until he got eaten up by moments like this. Ed Rendell and Spud Nesbitt round the outside there, ganging up on him and pushing him back to 5th place with just over a lap to go. And then Ed Rendell made his move on the last lap and went flying off into the turf, thankfully uninjured. That left the door open for the man who'd been 5th in the previous lap, number 6 Taz Taylor, round the outside of Scott Durrell, who admits he didn't quite break late enough, and the kid from Mansfield took the laurels, took the win, and extended his lead in the Moto3 Hell Motostar Championship with an exultant Sayers third. The Hell Performance British Motostar Championship, and a terrific start by title leader Taz Taylor on the Ryan Saxelby KTM. He launches to the front ahead of his great rival, the Dutchman, in orange, appropriately, on the red line KTM, Scott Durrell. Smashing start as well by Georgina Polden, getting the better of her teammate Jake Archer. Scott Durrell moves to the front, but not for long, because they start to carve one or another up through the complex. Spud Nesbitt taking advantage of that move by Taz Taylor to launch through into 2nd place, past the doubtless startled Dutchman. And in fact, Charlie Nesbitt goes one better, and the kid from Swindon moves through to the front before getting swallowed up in the slipstreaming game down to the club chicane. Taz Taylor back in front, but look at this, Spud's not taking that line down. He gets round the outside of the tall young Spaniard, and then he moves back to 2nd place in front of Scott Durrell. So the chopping and the changing goes on lap after lap. Taz Taylor is leading. Scott Durrell thinks about moving around the outside, but can't quite make it. Danny Sayers, however, does clip round the outside of Charlie Nesbitt. Scott Durrell takes the lead again. Charlie Nesbitt gets through underneath Taz Taylor, and they build up to a huge climax, but Scott Durrell this time takes a wide sweeping line down the hill that prevents the others from slipstreaming him. And then a big mistake by Taz Taylor, loses the front, outbreaks himself into the chicane and finds himself in 4th place, and sifting points as Durrell wins it from Nesbitt and Sayers. So the Dutchman takes the laurels. The 1000cc Pirelli National Superstock race, and Adam Jenkinson gets the jump on the R1 Yamaha off pole position. A good start by the Cheshireman. He leads the way from surprise 2nd place qualifier Liam Geacock. Geacock comes under pressure early on from the championship leader Josie Elliott. Elliott, number 10, moves the Morello Racing Kawasaki comfortably through to 2nd place, then attacks Jenkinson round the outside Church, down Brooklands and into the club chicane. He takes the lead. Hudson Kenner, the 2013 champion, also moves into the mix, and after a slow getaway, Alistair Seeley is also storming on the Tyco BMW. A huge outbreaking move by Hudson Kenner, swoops it through to 2nd place as they drop to the club chicane. Josie Elliott still leads it, Ken Jenkinson still there in 3rd place, but Seeley's beginning to light up the Tyco BMW round the outside of the Yamaha and hard on the brakes, and also threatening in black is motor breakers Alex Olsen, a rookie in this class of course. Alex Olsen gets a terrific drive, gets underneath Hudson Kenner, brilliant move by the 22-year-old from Rochester in Kent, and he now is in 3rd place. But look at this desperate attempt by Seeley, powering the BMW almost onto the grass, round the outside, down the hill into the club chicane on the final lap. He grabs the advantage from Josie Elliott, and the bewildered 21-year-old is left trailing in 2nd place. Alistair Seeley, his fellow Ulsterman, has pulled out a dramatic last gasp victory and closed the gap at the top of the championship standings. This then was the National Superstock 600 Championship in association with Pirelli, and a brilliant start by Mason Law from third off the grid. He pounced on his fellow front rowers and ended up getting the NMT No Limits Kawasaki to the front, but not for long. A brilliant move up the inside there by Taron McKenzie as they swept out into the country. But the mini Scotsman in the lead, but Mason Law was strong on the brakes lap after lap going down into the club chicane. Taron holds on this time. In yellow in third place is the former race winner, but he can't do anything about that particular move as they come storming through the chicane, and it's Bradley Ray well and truly on the move. Brad Ray then moves through into second place and very briefly captures the lead on the Motor Breakers Kawasaki. The wild card nips past the WD-40 Stout Academy Kawasaki, but not for long, because straight back goes that young man, and it looks like a possible missed gear again. It happened on a couple of occasions, this one almost drastically, and definitely gear change problems at least for the tall figure of Bradley Ray. And on the final lap, perfectly timed by the championship leader, Mason Law slips past the number 40 of Taron McKenzie and does that so sweetly. There's no chance for Taron to get back at him, and after winning the first 4 rounds but nothing since, Mason launches it again and beats Taron McKenzie. So a great verdict for the championship leader.
From pole position, Ricky Stevens and Ryan Charwood had a good fist of it, but Andy Peach and Charlie Richardson out-dragged them into the first bend, and as they headed down towards the complex, Peach and Richardson, there was no mistaking what they had to do, and that was get the hammer down and push, and that they did, but with a hand injury which was hampering him. It was only a matter of time before Andy Peach succumbed to a massive lunge by Stevens and Charwood, who then assumed control at the front of the race and never looked back, almost setting another lap record in the process. Meanwhile, Ben Holland and Lee Watson on the yellow and black filling cap Kawasaki got stuck into Andy, and as he was losing the back end and taking all sorts of odd lines, possibly because he can't steer the thing with an injured right hand, through went Holland and Watson, only to retire with yet another mechanical problem. Their luck goes from bad to worse. Fighting through though, Tony Brown and Lee Kane on the Paymundo.com bike got stuck into a battle with Kershaw and Wilson on the number 29 Blink Body Quarry bike, and that raged all the way to the flag, with Tony Brown and Lee Kane denying Kershaw the final place on the podium. They almost caught Andy Peach, but out in front, Stevens and Charwood, imperious, 3 wins in a row and a lap record to boot. 8 laps lay ahead of the final race for the Santander Consumer Finance KTM Junior Cup, and it was a fantastic start by number 66 Cameron Fraser, who really set about demolishing the rest of the field. But such is the closeness of this racing, that was not to be, and all the way down the 12-strong grid, battles raged. At the front, though, it very quickly developed into a battle between Kevin Keyes, Chris Taylor and Cameron Fraser. Kevin Keyes, meanwhile, with the white helmet, playing a bit of catch-up, but catch-up he did, and very, very quickly. Going ahead, Daniel Drayton, number 34. At the front, though, he soon set about Cameron Fraser, and eventually it was Cameron Fraser who was to end up in third place, because Chris Taylor, number 79, who had been denied a good result earlier in the day, got stuck in to take the win. There were a number of fallers at the chicane, but in the braking zone, that is always where the excitement was, and this race was no exception. The packed grandstand were thrilled by the moves and the antics of these lads. Even in the closing stages of the race, there were fallers, but 6/100ths of a second would separate Chris Taylor from Kevin Keyes, number 59, when they came out of the chicane towards the lights for the last time. The victory then went to Taylor, and he was brilliant, just